Hello everybody, welcome back to the 5-Star Potential Podcast Social. We're on to day 17, episode 17 of the Daily Lockdown podcast here on YouTube. Hope you guys are keeping well and safe. And today we've got another podcast for you guys. Dude, you don't know the words.
I don't know the words.
Well, hello anyway. How are you?
I'm alright, Dave. You?
Yeah, tired today. Really tired. But you know.
Yeah, I had a really nice evening planned, and now it's ruined because I've got to edit the pod because you want to fucking stream, you selfish bastard. So, you know.
Oh my word. You offered.
Mudded.
Yeah.
Mudded. Stay off your phone on this podcast, Dave.
Oh, I have to, yeah. We are also joined by Friday Night FM. Joe, how you keeping, man?
I've turned my microphone on today, so.
Oh, yeah, you were very quiet yesterday.
Tired. I'm so tired. But we go.
We go again.
We go again.
You've literally walked in from work and we've clicked record straight away. That's the
to be fair, if we're all feeling a bit tired, there's one man in this community that can get us pumped. And he wasn't available, so we got Brian.
Yeah. I'm a nice consolation prize.
We've got the FM community's favourite superfan, SoccerWithBrian. How's it going, man?
I'm good. I'm tired too, but that's why I'm still drinking coffee at 12:30 in the afternoon my time. So
Okay, I've got some questions, Brian. If you've watched the other pods, you know that we have questions about your background, so we're going to come with background questions. Question number 1, can you play the guitar that's on the wall?
So that is not actually a guitar. That is a ukulele, and I have no actual musical talent whatsoever. That is
looks
entirely my wife.
massive in the background.
He just lives in a really small house.
Yeah.
Go on, Brian.
It might just be a camera angle. I'm afraid if I take it down,
Okay.
you guys
I will
might
say
actually
this,
ask
Brian.
me to play it, but
To you, it might be a ukulele, but to Curtie, that is a guitar.
That's a cello.
To Curtie, I was going to say to Curtie, there's a cello.
Is that a veil that's hanging on the side of the bookcase?
That white net
Next to-
thing.
no,
Yeah.
actually, that looks like it's a bouquet, and I think that might have been from my wife and I's wedding.
Well, congratulations, GG.
Lucky woman.
Very lucky man.
I'll tell her that, but I don't think she'll believe me.
And the shirts. Talk to us about the shirts, because we're going to see some of the shirts.
So a lot of these, I've got a few more, but I'm also...
Table. How American is that? Oh, just put a fusible table in there.
Oh yeah, this was a Christmas gift from my wife and I exchanged gifts one year. She got me a foosball table, and I got her a beer pong table.
Nice.
So Brian wins either
So-
way. Yeah.
A lot of these are ones we've hung up because my big stomach can't fit into them anymore.
I know that feeling, brother.
So a lot of these, the one all the way up there is an AFC Wimbledon. I think it was a training shirt I found on eBay. I got a Manchester United shirt. I got another one up there. U.S. Men's National Team, Columbus Crew, and then that one is a Tanner Thompson. He played for Indy 11, which is my local team, and that's actually a signed shirt from him.
I thought that was...
Niche story.
Go on.
I was filling up with fuel yesterday, and Shay Alexandru from AFC Wimbledon was in the petrol station.
Wow.
Yeah, I love the story, but then also it's a little bit of the fact that John Green, who is the biggest person from Indiana, lives in Indianapolis, obviously massive AFC Wimbledon fan. So excuse me, I'm just going to be drinking my coffee a lot while I'm talking.
So,
Go for it, man.
I got other questions. The foosball table, what colour are the strips on the two sides? Just so we can we can reference the teams for you.
It's blue and it's actually blue and green and blue. It's not.
Oh.
I want to eventually take them off and repaint them
Kick
at some
flash.
point, but yeah.
It's Miami Dolphins.
So if you had to repaint them, what colours do you repaint? What kits are you repainting them, bro?
Ooh, that's a really tough. Ooh, that's gonna.
I thought you were going to say it's a really good question, because it is, but okay.
No, it is a good question. I
he's
have
doing
no
it.
idea. I've thought about taking them off and painting them eventually, but I have no idea what I would do that. So now
You know he's doing them FM purple.
FM purple. One can be FM
And
purple, one can
DTF
be...
Sold.
FM green.
Sold.
I was going to say Palermo pink, but okay, I'll let you on.
I thought that shirt on the right hand side was a Dortmund shirt. That one bottom right there. I thought
That
was
one?
Dortmund. Yeah.
No, that is a Columbus Crew shirt. I bought that right around the time that they were potentially going to be
sure?
leaving.
They were selling them.
Yeah.
I actually have a
Dortmund
Dortmund tracksuit jacket downstairs that I wear quite frequently.
Oh, you should have brought that up. That'd been cool.
Sorry, I didn't get the
Right,
memo
okay,
about
can
what
I
I
say-
need to stick in the background before these.
Right, go on, Dave. You'll
And
go.
the
No
Beatles.
further questions. Oh,
And the
Beatles. Oh,
Beatles.
I didn't see them.
Yeah, you see the Beatles in there?
Oh, yeah, I see them. Why a whiteboard?
Yep.
Is that a
So,
printer? That's a
Is that printer bigger than your dad's printer?
Oh,
Yeah, that is.
So
turn the printer off.
I'm sitting on with a laptop right now. It's just a little difficult to maneuver. So, but basically, we've got 2 rooms in our upstairs of our house, and this room is our office, and it's split in half. So I kind of get a little section to myself, and then my wife has the other half, and she actually works from home right now. So she actually has a purpose to her half. So her half is dramatically more organized than mine, which just has stuff. Since we rearranged rooms, it still has stuff sitting on this desk that I feverishly was cleaning off.
I mean, Brian's not even a content creator. He's got a better backdrop than I have, to be fair, hasn't he? All his shirts in the background.
I don't know, the lights, both you and Dupe having the lights in the background.
Yeah.
And I'm jealous of Joe's kits in
I
the
need
background,
to-
mainly
I'll have
because
all
they're
those
framed.
kits there.
So
I've got two framed, one that needs to be framed, and another one upstairs, all signed, that need to be framed. So when I eventually get my own place, the wall will be...
We can do lights.
Oh, go on.
We can do lights.
Pick a colour. Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
He's
man.
showing off. Now.
beautiful,
We can do
beautiful,
lights.
beautiful.
If everyone else is quiet, Brian, my lights just react to your voice, by the way.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah,
See?
that actually changed your colour, yeah. I don't think he believed you there, dude.
No, I don't think he did. They do. They literally do, but it's okay. Brilliant.
I only
brilliant. We'll say
believe,
goodbye,
I only
folks.
believe, I only believe Dupe like 70% of the time anyway.
Yeah. All right. That point well presented.
Well, Brian, you're our first guest from the USA, I think, on the podcast. So obviously we're going to be learning a little bit more about the whole year. Really, it's been a bit of a write-off for most people. How has it been working? Because obviously in the UK we've gone into lockdown, sort of come out of lockdown, and been put back into lockdown. So how has it been since sort of February, March under Mr. Donald Trump, as it was earlier on in the year, and still is at the moment, I suppose?
It's strange. Like, there's sometimes where I almost feel like I've gotten to the point where I'm mentally coping with the fact that this is a new normal. But it's been weird because depending on who you talk to, I think now, if you talk to a lot of people 3, 4, 5 months ago, at least the people I associate with, a lot more people are starting to take things more serious, especially as the numbers continue to rise and everything else. I think everybody, especially as we get closer to Thanksgiving, Christmas, everybody's starting to take the general spike in numbers a lot more serious. But it's been strange, because, you know, not to jump on a soapbox, but I think the United States is very well known for being, you know, at times being able to come together as one country. And I think for whatever reason, this pandemic has really pushed them to the point where they're not, like, they don't know how to, we don't know how to come together as one country to actually tackle this. So, everybody's kind of been left to their own devices because nobody here really wants to take charge and take responsibility for any rules or anything like that. So the federal government pushes it down to the states pushes it down to the cities, and so on and so forth. So I think a lot of it has been that people just have to decide what they're going to do, if they're going to wear a mask when they go out, if they're not going to wear a mask, and everything else. So it's been weird. It's weird. I think that's the best way to describe it.
Is there any laws for masks over there at the moment? Like, if you go into a shop, do you have to wear a mask, or is it just sort of not optional at the moment, I suppose?
There is and there isn't. There are no penalties, at least where I'm at. There's no penalties for anything.
Yeah.
I think it's very much please do this, and like if you don't do this, it's going to eventually cause issues. Where I'm at, we just hit another spike in numbers, so they just changed, you know, how many people can associate in small gatherings and everything else. So, but there's no penalties for not doing things, but I think it's very much employing people that take responsibility for their actions, and actually doing things to just generally protect themselves, whether it be staying home if you don't need to go out, or obviously wearing a mask. and everything else.
So have you worked through the whole year, or has there been a period where you've had to sort of work from home, or in the UK they've done a furlough where the government would pay your wage so you didn't work, sort of thing? What has been the situation with work?
So I was very unfortunate in the fact that I became a part of the statistic that got laid off. I think the nice way of putting it was permanently laid off. At least that's what it was when I was filing unemployment claims. So I worked as a marketing person for a coding company locally for a number of years, and due to both, personal reasons within the company, but then also obviously the economic toll the pandemic has been taking on people, I was kind of more or less ruled as redundant just because they had contracted an outside source to do some of the stuff I was doing, and they just could obviously save money. So I was laid off. I was very fortunate in the fact that it only was 3 weeks before I actually found a new job, which it's not by, I'm now working more or less, it's quality control for a print shop. So we do decals, vinyl on vehicles and everything else. It's by no means what I saw my career path going towards, but it was very much a thing, especially when I talked to my wife about it. It was very much a thing that we agreed that it was either I continue to do unemployment claims and get a fraction of it was what I was getting beforehand, or I take this job, I'm actually working, I get a nicer paycheck, and maybe I turn this into a new career. So, yeah. But I don't want to say I benefited from any part of this pandemic, but my previous job was not, it was a very toxic work environment. So when I got laid off, one of my coworkers looked at me and he was like, you don't look like you just lost your job. And I was like, I kind of feel like I got my life back a little bit. So, I hate thinking that I benefited from any part of anything going on in the world, because nobody's benefiting from any part of what's going on in the world. But I think I lucked out in the sense that I'm in a much healthier environment for myself mentally, and physically there are some days that I wish I was sitting behind a desk again, but mentally I'm in a much healthier environment, and it's helped me, be able to cope with things a lot better. I'm not, coming home and wearing the stress of the day on myself anymore. So
big weight off your shoulders almost. Although we spoke about with Foxy on yesterday's pod as well, that it's worked in strange ways for a lot of people, and the fact that there have been a lot of downs, but there have been positives to come for a lot of people as well. Like you say, with that, if you look at it, you've been laid off from your job, but in terms of you emotionally, I suppose, it was bringing that work, you didn't enjoy it. It sounds like, and that I think that's a positive for you to get all that negativity out of your life, and obviously working in a new environment and a new career change that maybe you didn't expect to see yourself in. So, yeah, I think that the pandemic has brought positives into people's lives as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that's the biggest thing that I've taken from everything going on in the world is this is giving everybody ample opportunity to sit back and really understand what makes them happy, what brings them enjoyment in their lives and everything else, and it's allowing them to actually take the time to figure out their priorities. Because I think even when pre-pandemic, normal was not, nobody has a normal. Mm-hmm. But I think pre-pandemic, everybody was kind of stuck in a routine. I think this pandemic, if you're not directly affected by it, it's allowing you to understand what makes you happy. And for a lot of people in the FM community, but a lot of people in the world, it's allowing them to maybe figure out some of their priorities in life.
Mm-hmm. So in that sort of short spell between losing the job and sort of getting the new job back, what did you spend your time doing at home? Learn skills, Football Manager, or is it all sort of focused on trying to get yourself back into employment?
It was a lot of waking up in the morning, making a full pot of coffee, job applications. We had a friend of ours that was visiting at the time, so I kind of I gave myself a few days to kind of just cope with the fact that I'd been working at a job for 5 years and I just lost it. So I gave myself a little bit of time, but it was I hit the ground running. I was trying to get back out there and get something going. If nothing else for myself, I wanted to make sure that I was still providing something, even though we don't have kids, for my family, more or less. But yeah, I played a crap ton of Football Manager. So, yeah, it was a lot of FM, but it was also a lot of job applications, making sure I was still getting out there.
I like the way you just put that, just in case somebody's listening. In case Mrs. Brian.
When he says job applications, he just means he just kept applying for the available managerial posts.
Yeah, he was just doing a journeyman. That's all he was doing.
Talking about FM, who have you? I know we don't really talk much about FM, but who have you kicked off your FM 21 journey with, or are you waiting for the full release?
I am currently with Inter Miami.
Nice.
And because
gods.
Yeah, it was. I was trying to decide what I wanted to do, and I'm still trying to decide what my main save is going to be. But that one was a nice one because I think if you are at all involved with U.S. soccer, Breck Shea is a left back for Inter Miami, and he's got the hair.
He played for Stoke, didn't he?
I was about to say. He played for Stoke,
yeah. He did. He's borderline a meme within U.S. soccer.
Oh, right.
But then obviously they've got Higuain. His brother just moved over there, 36-year-old Federico Higuain. So it's a very interesting squad.
Nashville. They were playing Nashville last night. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was like just trying to fall asleep, and I put that on, and they were losing.
Yeah, they're an interesting squad.
Just quickly, the Nashville, do they play at the Titans Stadium?
Yeah. Because they had a big snafu with getting the construction started for their. It was a big legal battle to get the construction started for their stadium. So they're playing at the Titan Stadium. I think they're playing at least there this year and then probably next year. But yeah, the Inter Miami squad was just really interesting because Beckham spent a crap ton of money on that team, and they are not very good in real life. Yeah. And I wanted to see if I could try to do a little bit better with them, and I've managed to do okay.
Yeah, they've got some good players, haven't they? Matuidi as well went there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've got an MLS team, Brian. Who are the MLS team? Is it Inter Miami, or is there an actual? Have you got
so locally, at least, I claim allegiance. Indy 11 plays in the 2nd division. If I had to pick a MLS team, I actually have their scarf sitting right here. Let's see if I can.
Philadelphia Union. Good choice. Great choice.
It's actually their old logo, but Chicago Fire was outside of. I think when everybody.
Yeah, Gendo was, wasn't it? Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Well, so that was the funniest part meeting when I first started interacting with Gendo, was realizing he was in the Chicago area, and he's about an hour and a half south from me. So that was kind of one of those, it's a small world after all things. But yeah, it's them. I've obviously got the Crew jersey back there. So I like the chaos of Major League Soccer and the structure of it, because no one really understands it, and I try my damnedest to understand it, even though I don't really understand it half the time. But I don't really have one team, because I'm also looking at a Sporting Kansas City scarf in front of me. But yeah, at least Indy 11 is a team that I would actually declare supportership with. But then Major League Soccer-wise, I don't really have any. Really at the moment.
You just enjoy watching it and supporting it. That's good, though.
Anarchy.
What's the deal with Indy 11 then? So, like, obviously, with the way American... Well, I was going to say American football, but the American football system is set up. Like, they're never going to become an MLS team, are they?
Dave, if I really wanted to try to explain it to you, this would have to be an entirely different podcast, because explaining the goings-on of U.S. soccer.
We talked about sandwiches the other day.
And I'm doing an MLS save this year, Brian. So I'll take every bit of advice as possible.
I think so. Indy's got an opportunity to do it. The problem is the structure of how U.S. soccer is, and especially with Major League Soccer. Major League Soccer is trying to market themselves as the NFL, more or less, of the soccer world. And I don't think a lot of people, especially when people are able, especially in this country, are able to watch things like the Premier League and Bundesliga and everything else. They see how other countries are doing it and doing the sport. And I don't think a lot of people like how Major League Soccer has structured it. So a team like Indy 11 has ample opportunity to join them. You just need $200-300 million to expansion fee. Probably they're going to need they have a stadium deal in place. Obviously the pandemic slowed everything down, but you're going to need a soccer specific stadium. You have to meet all these criteria. So a team like that, to get back to your original question, has a chance to get in there and actually play in Major League Soccer. It's just the structure of how U.S. soccer and everything else works in this country is such a headache, and it's so difficult that I just try to support the growth of the sport, even if it's not in a direction that I agree with. But yeah, to get back to your original question, they could. They just had to, write Don Garber a $300 million check. Which seems like
how
change.
would that impact the league though? Because obviously there's a set amount of teams in each sort of conference or whatever at the moment. Would they just
add another one?
Yeah, is that all they do?
Major League Soccer, at least from my general understanding, works as there are no owners. The league owns all the teams. Each owner of the teams are actually shareholders for those teams. So whenever they bring in a new team, more than likely they usually do a vote among all the shareholders to say, hey, we want to bring this team in. My understanding at this point is one of the biggest obstacles is Chicago, Columbus, FC Cincinnati. They've all kind of been like, that's going to crowd our market. Like, you bring another regional team, and I think before FC Cincinnati joined, there was a chance that Indy 11 had a better case. But I think, regionally speaking, it's such a crowded market in the Midwest that there's not necessarily a need for another team in there, even if they have the fan base attached to it. There's not necessarily a big need for it. And I don't think Indy 11 needs to join Major League Soccer to succeed. I think that they have, they've shown time and time again the growth of the team is capable of doing it without it. And I think a lot more teams and leagues can grow without Major League Soccer. It's just if you don't talk to some giant soccer nerd in this country like me, and you say, hey, Major League Soccer, it's immediately equated with Major League Baseball, the NFL, and everything else. And that's the biggest obstacle for any league or team that's not in MLS. That's the biggest obstacle they have to beat down. It's not what level they're playing at or the fact that, Higuain's not playing for their team. It's the fact that everybody sees Major League and they immediately assume that's the top and the best league in the world.
It's interesting. It's such a... Obviously, I managed a little bit there last year on Football Manager, and it does...
Who did you manage, Dave?
I was expecting that to be so different. So in my early 19, 20-year-old, I went over and I coached in America. No, I did it on Football Manager. Well done, Dave.
I managed...
Don't change.
Who was it I managed first, though? Montreal Impact, I think I managed. And then...
you did LAFC,
right?
Yeah. The LAFC was the one I
was when you won the Champions League.
Yeah.
Not that I remember that at all.
No, not New York. No, not New York.
No, you didn't manage New York, no? Oh.
Did you have a spell at Atlanta United, too?
Who?
Atlanta United? Am I crazy? Why do I feel
them instead of Montreal? Maybe.
No, you had. I never.
Great series, by the way.
I can't remember. Who knows? Talking about that reminds me. Somebody in my chat from Malta the other day was talking about, how like San Marino have got like a team in the 4th division of Italy or whatever, like their own club. Apparently, I didn't even know until he came in my stream last week. Malta had plans that were going through to have a club in the 4th division of Italy as well, like a Maltese club, and because of the pandemic, it got halted. But I didn't. He told me about that. I said that would be class, like similar to sort of like that the San Marino challenge where you got to get San Marino, the international team and the club team up. So I might have a look at that because I'm sure someone might do.
You'll be the only person that plays it.
Yeah. Someone might do a custom database. If not, I might have to do a nerd/Steve on it and just make it myself and see what I can do.
What that'd be put on, you'll win it all at the end.
Put the Serie D. Yeah.
Starts playing at a golf course, beating Premier League teams.
Signing ex-Premier League players in 12th tier. Love to see it. Brian, in terms of going back to obviously the situation this year, what's been your situation with friends and family? Have you been able to keep in touch, been able to see them, or do you live close to family at the moment?
So I live about 40 minutes away from my parents. My wife's family lives probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Under normal circumstances, we were probably going over to see her family probably around once a month. And we've slowed down. I think the big thing is whenever we go over there, we try not to go out anymore or anywhere that we don't need to be going out and anywhere. And if we do, it's, mask up and everything else. So, unfortunately, as we've gotten closer to more holidays and stuff, we've been trying to sort all that out this week. And my parents are kind of right at that cusp of being in what they would probably classify as the higher risk range, and they're trying to be as safe and everything else. So my dad just recently retired, and he's been incredibly depressed during this entire period because he retired so he could see more of his family. And obviously, with everything that's hit, they've not felt comfortable with having people over. I know my mom's been struggling. My mom's been struggling with the fact that she wants to give people hugs, and she doesn't feel comfortable doing that. So what she ends up doing is she gives people hugs, like hugs their back. And especially if she's got a mask on or anything, but she'll put her face away and hug you from behind just to be more comfortable and everything else, just so she can actually have that physical interaction. But we've kind of been corresponding this week, and normally Thanksgiving to Christmas is travel, but as we've gotten closer to this, it's more or less we're gonna be maybe having a Christmas, and then maybe a dramatically reduced Thanksgiving with my wife's family. But other than that, they did weekly Zoom calls. Quizzes are not apparently a very popular thing to do over here, I'm finding out. Apparently that is the hit thing to do in Europe. You guys have cornered that market.
Family quizzes, and in the end, I think everyone at the time enjoyed it, but in hindsight, I think after about one quiz and everyone was asking to do it every other day, it got a little bit boring, I think. So
quizzes got so boring we don't even do them on the 5-star pod anymore.
Kurt, you killed them in my opinion.
But no, it's been nice, and I do think, kind of echoing what I've been hearing from all of these podcasts, because I try to listen to these. I do it hands-free, but I listen to these. I throw them on when I get in my car in the morning, and I don't drive like this. That sounds like a bad idea. But I try to listen in the morning, and I think that this has brought. I've interacted with a lot more people recently than I actually have in the past, and I think this has given people a lot more opportunity, even virtually, to hook up and connect and reconnect and talk with people. So,
and you would have seen obviously on these podcasts in terms of we're trying to raise awareness for that mental health aspect of things, trying to get people to talk to people. Have you ever had to reach out to anybody, or do you think you'd be able to reach out to anybody if you hit those low points in your life?
So I was thinking about this, especially after you had asked if I would come on here, and I've never professionally had to reach out to anybody, but I do remember at one point when I was in college, I had a mentor that I was a part of a leadership group with my dorm building. and I had a mentor that we had a meeting once a week to go over everything that we had to do for the building and everything else. And I walked in, and I must have been wearing the stress on my face, because I walked in and she looked at me and she said, "Something's wrong with you." She goes, "We'll talk about this stuff next week. Let's talk about you." And I remember sitting down with her, and we were talking, and she was like, you know, "What's going on? How's school and everything else?" And I was doing fine in school. And to this day, I couldn't tell you what emotionally or mentally was going wrong in my brain. But she left something in my head that I've carried on my entire life, and it's establishing me time. Where she was like, you know, when we have these big general meetings, she was like, "What do you do afterwards?" And I was like, you know, I hang around, talk with people, answer questions. She goes, "Next week," she goes, "Do you like playing?" She was like, "Do you like playing video games?" And I was like, "I played one or two before." She was like, "Next week when you get done," she said, "don't be rude to people," but she was like, "Go back to your room, shut the door." She was like, "Turn on your Xbox, turn on whatever." She goes, "Play an hour of video games." She goes, "Just let yourself decompress, let yourself relax." And she was like, and just establish that this is your time, that you're not going to worry about school, you're not going to worry about life and everything else. And to me, that's always something I've established. And I do that. I try to not abuse it, obviously, but I do that at least when I get home and stuff like that, is after, you know, get home, we make dinner, I take a shower, I come out, and that's Football Manager to me. That's my me time, where I'm able to sit down and, you know, it's a little bit of escapism, but you're able to do, you know, give yourself a little time away from the stress of the world and everything else, do something you enjoy. So while I haven't sought after any advice or anything professionally, that's always something that instilled in my brain, the fact that establishing me time can give you the chance to kind of, you know, fix some of the issues in your life, where you're able to not have to address the stress right away, and you can, you know, hit things at a much ample opportunity.
Well, we'd like to move on to a bit of a lighter note, Brian. I know you're probably prepared for this one. We'd like to find out about books, films, movies, and podcasts. We'll start off with the books. Do you read?
I'm just looking over here.
Yeah. Go on. Give us some recommendations.
So I can't tell you the last time I actually read a book.
Yeah.
I was actually looking at this bookshelf over here. This shelf up here actually has a lot of college textbooks that I need to get rid of. But down here, I have a lot of books that I apparently have not read before. But some of the ones I've actually read were Coming Out to Play, which is Robbie Rogers, played for LA Galaxy. It was a book about him coming out as one of the first openly gay soccer players in the United States. It's actually a real simple read. I didn't think it was gonna be that simple of a read, but I remember getting done with it and I was like, that was not, it's, you know, I'm trying to think, 203 pages or 200 plus pages, so it's actually
like
pretty...
4 years for me then.
It's actually a pretty simple read. This one's one that I've read a number of times. It's called The Essential Wooden. It's not a euphemism for anything, but it's a book about leaders. Well, you can read into it all you want, I guess. But it's a book about leadership and stuff from John Wooden, who was a college basketball coach for UCLA. And then two lighter ones that I have been reading. This is what I like to affectionately call my poop reader. But it's called Bloody Confused. It's about a guy named Chuck Culpepper, who's a sports writer in the United States, moved over to England, and I think he became a Portsmouth fan when they were in the Premier League. Because he wanted to get away from all the cliches and everything else from covering Super Bowls and everything else, and he wanted to find a soccer team. I'm referring to it as soccer. Sorry, people that are going to get offended by that. He wanted to find a team to root for over in England, and he went to all these big stadiums, and Portsmouth apparently piqued his interest. So it's an interesting.
Likes this.
Say that one more time.
Chris Proud likes this. Proudy's a big Portsmouth fan, isn't he?
I love Proudy. Yeah, it's actually pretty easy read, and then this one actually was pretty fun too. It's Craig Ferguson's biography, talking about moving from Scotland over to the United States. So, yeah, I used to be a big reader. I haven't read a lot of books recently. I think the only one that I keep trying to come through is I'm actually trying to read Moneyball, like the actual copy of Moneyball, which is really just me rereading the same 4 or 5 pages over and over again because I don't really understand anything I'm reading.
Well, I make you feel bad. I actually understood that and I read it all, so it only took me 14 years to do it, but yeah, you know, I got there.
Humble brag.
Oh, mate, massive brag. I'll take it.
And you watch a lot of TV, Brian, Netflix, Amazon Prime. Is that big over in the US? Amazon Prime, is that a thing?
Yeah, so I have been slowly working through the Tottenham documentary, but on Amazon Prime, my wife's actually watched it already, the entire series already, but we're rewatching together the TV show House with you, Lori. It's he's like if Stone Cold Steve Austin became a medical doctor, because he can just say whatever the hell he wants, and that's just wonderful.
Once though, do you just wish that someone actually had lupus? It's always lupus, but then it's never lupus.
I was explaining to somebody at work actually the other day. I was like, yeah, just watch this TV show and count how many times lupus gets proposed as a diagnosis, and it's never lupus. But then, you know, American Office is one of our go-tos. We've hit Christmas, so National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation is something I think my wife actually just threw on before I came up here. So, yeah, other than that, it's kind of whatever we end up watching. HBO Max is a thing in the United States that just came out, I think, this year, and it's got the TV show Friends. And that's usually our go-to mindless, throw on the background, probably fall asleep to in the evening TV show. So,
Friends is the greatest of all time. Quick question, but like,
is it 4 claps or 5 claps? That's always 4. The debate. It's 4 claps.
4 claps.
5, I'm going.
4 claps and 238 episodes. Quick question. Christmas. You mentioned Christmas. Christmas. So, how normally, traditionally in America, how soon do you put your Christmas tree and your Christmas lights up?
I think
over here it's like socially unacceptable to have it up before December. So I just wondered whether it was different over in America.
I think Christmas
you wouldn't
lights.
dare to have them up yet, would you?
Well, so we don't do any decorations on the outside of our house because we're just painfully afraid someone's going to come steal them.
Fair enough.
So
I was like that in Swindon.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people put their Christmas lights up as soon as it becomes like close enough, but it's still warm enough that you're not wearing like 6 layers while you're up on a ladder up against your house. But I think it's, you know, I've become warmed up to the opportunity. We listened to, at work on Friday, we actually listened to Christmas music while we were working for the first time. So okay. I'm one of those people, Dupe. I'm sorry. Please don't hate me.
Dave, wrap this up.
No, I think this time of year, Dupe, I think it's starting to become acceptable. It's end of November now, isn't it? And everyone's had a shit year.
It's not December, though, is it?
There are radio stations in the UK, Brian, that play like, this time of year solely Christmas music.
Yeah, there's one locally that will start the day after Thanksgiving. They will play 24 hours a day Christmas music until, I think, New Year's. So
I think it's weird after Christmas. Like, from Boxing Day onwards, it's still weird when you hear Christmas songs, I think, on the radio, but I get it. I do get it. But yeah,
I don't.
There's some. We haven't gone as far as the tree in our house, but I've come in today and there's a few things out, like the kitchen tablecloth. It always changes to like a gingerbread, like a winter gingerbread man one. So there's stuff like that. So there are things in my house as well. But I think
I can't believe Wendy did that.
Anywhere maybe before the 15th, 20th, I'm sort of on your side, Duke. But I think anywhere from now onwards is fairly acceptable.
Look, I understand we've had a tough year, right? And I understand people want to do it, but like, it's like. No, come on. Let's stick to it. 12 days of Christmas. It's tradition. You know, we're all very traditionally Christian. You know, we're celebrating a Christian holiday, and we have to go with their beliefs, and that's the belief it is. 12 days before Christmas.
I think with everything.
I don't think Jesus said that though, did he?
Yeah. I think he tweeted it once.
I feel like Jesus might do. Yeah.
I think it was an Instagram story, wasn't it?
Isn't that a Twitter story?
Fleet.
It's a fleet, yeah.
Yeah, that is the new thing.
And podcast, Brian, I assume you're a big podcast listener as well. What are your go-tos normally?
I don't know if you guys have heard of this 5-Star Potential podcast.
Never heard of it.
No, it's shit if you ask me.
It's garbage. I kind of hate listening to it. There's a guy on there named Dupe. He does crap job on the quiz. This is gonna sound bad. Legitimately, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. The only one I'm 100% promise I'm not just saying this. I only listen to the 5-Star Potential podcast at the moment. So that one is just every Monday
we
when
signed him up to an excuse. We signed him up to a deal. That's the only one he's allowed to listen to.
Because every episode's the best one yet.
No.
I wouldn't say the last two, no.
You haven't heard Mondays yet, mate.
I'm sure it'll be fine. No, the one you guys did where you guys just played in the background, I'm listening to this while I'm going through the store, and I'm walking through, and I'm like, why am I hate the fact I was entertained by it, because I was like, they're just, I can't even see what they're doing. Yeah. But I'm like, they're just narrating what they're playing, and I'm like, I'm still entertained by this, so. But yeah, other than that, I mean, if I catch certain episodes of other podcasts, and if I know maybe there's a guest on another podcast that I want to listen to, I'll throw that on there too. Like, I found a really, really old interview with Miles. It was actually a video that was up there. It was him and Tony Jameson. Yeah. That I was scrolling through on the podcast app one day, and I was like, that's something I've never seen before, and it was super interesting. So, but yeah, other than that, I listen to your guys' podcast every week.
I think to be fair, me and Joe have referenced it a couple of times, actually probably off the pod and on the pod, that we're both a little bit, enjoying listening to Tony Jameson's podcast. So we'll give it another little plug. It's some top quality stuff there. So if you haven't listened to it already,
really, really good.
If you like your Football Manager, recommend it.
Football Manager Therapy.
That's the one.
Mm-hmm. That is. If I'm listening to anything else, and I'm not just saying this because you guys just said it, but if I'm listening to anything else, that's usually the one I throw on there too. And I'm always interested.
You said you won't listen to anything else.
Well, okay, I gotta appease everybody, Dupe.
You know what he said about there's an idiot called Dupe?
Yeah. Oh, me.
You got him.
Easy. Well, Brian, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. Really appreciate you jumping on the podcast. We've learned a little bit more about what it's been like in America, what it's been like in your life, and obviously your interest as well. If people wish to follow you on Twitter, where can they do so?
It's twitter.com/ who says twitter.com? At SoccerWithBrian on Twitter. Oh, I need to drink more coffee. Yeah, at SoccerWithBrian on Twitter.
Brilliant. And I will leave the links to each of us in the podcast description down below. If you do want to reach out to anybody, obviously professionally, or even if you want to chat to one of us, the links are in the description down below. Let us know your thoughts on today's podcast in the comment section. If you've got any questions for future podcasts, and be sure to hit the like button down below. Subscribe to the WeStream FM channel if you haven't already. And until next time, we'll see you all very, very soon. Say goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Let's go play FM.